Life is not only about the temporary things right before our eyes, it is also about poetry and the things that lie far away. But in reality, how many people truly dare to set aside the troubles of their present lives? How many dare to cast off financial worries, desire, and ambition in order to pursue what is called poetry and distant horizons? The poetry out there is the joy that rises from the depths of the heart, while the faraway place is the journey of daring to step beyond the longing for immediate stability. As the brilliant novelist Mom wrote in The Moon and Sixpence, most people do not become what they want to become, but what they have to become. The moon is the ideal. The sixpence is reality. Which one would you choose? Will you raise your head and chase the moon hanging high above, or lower your head because of the sacks of rice demanded by reality? Each person's answer will surely be different. In an earlier XYZ library video, there was a discussion of the book Walden. This is a true story from the life of the writer Henry David Thoreau at the age of 28. He gave up the potential to become wealthy through business, cast aside all worldly desires, took an axe into the forest, built a wooden cabin, and lived alone by the beautiful shore of Walden Pond. Some people, upon hearing this story, said that going off alone to live a separate life was selfish. In reality, we still have family, spouse, children, parents, responsibilities, and all kinds of worries. How could anyone live like that? But on the other hand, many people have drawn deep inspiration from Thoreau's story of living alone by Walden Pond. They realized that the time had come for them to live as themselves and to live in the rhythm of their own steps. When I saw these two opposite emotional responses, I had only one question: what creates such a contrast? And how can each of us live a life without regret? Then, when I turned back to the pages of The Moon and Sixpence, it gave me an answer. And today, I want to share it in this video, in the hope of giving you more awareness and perspective in choosing how to live your own life. Hello everyone! Welcome back to XYZ Library, a channel that shares knowledge and encourages holistic self-development through good books. Today's video is a reflection entitled, Your Perception Determines Everything. Through the book The Moon and Sixpence, this is a classic work, a timeless masterpiece by the celebrated English novelist, playwright, and essayist William Somerset Maugham, one of the most beloved writers of the first half of the 20th century. Please listen along. Your perception determines what kind of life you choose to pursue. Strickland, the main character of the story, a stockbroker in London, he has a job that earns enough money for his whole family to live in the center of the city. He marries a wife who knows how to manage a household and has two lovely, well-behaved children. It can be said that Strickland has a successful career, a comfortable income, a happy family, social respect, and a life that many people would envy. But what no one expected was that this middle-aged man, whom others saw as quiet and somewhat dull, suddenly abandoned everything he had worked so hard to gain in the first half of his life and went alone to Paris. He left behind only a letter of fewer than 10 lines for his wife, telling her that he would not return. At 40, Strickland coldly and heartlessly threw away his wife and children for the sake of a vague dream, to become a painter. In the eyes of others, Strickland made a foolish and mistaken decision. First, it was foolish because he gave up a stable and prosperous life, only to wander out into poverty and hardship. Strickland devoted all his time and energy to painting, caring nothing for food, clothing, or shelter, living only on the minimum needed to survive. He took whatever odd jobs could quickly earn him money, but once he had enough, he poured it all into buying oil paints and shut himself away in his studio. The second mistake, in their eyes, was that he was foolish for making such a risky, blind decision toward an uncertain future. Other people start learning to paint at 18, and only then might have prospects. But he relied on a childhood dream. Though he was already older, his technique was poor, and yet he still wanted to become an artist. In other people's eyes, he was truly foolish, and yet he said, "You are the real fool. I told you already I have to paint. I cannot do otherwise." When a person falls into the water, it does not matter whether he is a good swimmer or a poor one. It is not important. He either struggles to get out, or he drowns. Think about it. Must one already know how to swim well before swimming? Must one meet this condition and that condition before pursuing a dream? Is he the foolish one, or is the world itself foolish? Many people out there use other people's standards of success and profit to measure their own choices, spending their limited time enduring an unhappy life they do not even like. But if someone spends that same limited life pursuing a dream, regardless of success or failure, regardless of gain or loss, is that foolishness or courage? Psychologist Carl Jung said that people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. But only those who dare to face their souls are truly awake. Strickland is surely someone who dares to face his own soul. He dares to leap out of his comfort zone and courageously pursue his dream. Whether material things are light as air or supreme, whether they are a treasure to cling to, or a shoe that can simply be thrown away. All of that depends on you. How many people only timidly glance up at the moon, then lower their heads again to chase after the sixpence they rely on for food and clothing? Here, the moon symbolizes lofty ideals and the beautiful goals of the soul. The sixpence, a coin of very small value, represents the mundane and practical realities of life. We live in a world where sixpences cover the floor. People cling only to attachment and desire, bowing their heads until they can no longer see the moon. We become like slaves of time, rushing after our limited years, bound in a net, woven by our relationships with others, forgetting the goals we once meant to pursue, and growing numb under the pressure to become someone. If you keep looking down at the ground for sixpence instead of looking up at the sky, you will miss the moon. In truth, each of us has within us a ditch, a small stream. Only those who stubbornly insist that life is too short and that they want to spend the rest of it living in the way they themselves like can turn themselves into a deep river or a wide sea. But if you think Magam is feeding you some kind of toxic self-help soup for the soul, then you have underestimated Magam. The famous philosopher Schopenhauer once said, "The greatest prison in this world is human perception. What binds a person's life is not wealth, work, or family, but perception itself. Perceptions differ, and the lives people pursue will differ as well. Whether you are happy or not is entirely up to your own definition. The moon and sixpence, whatever you choose, only your own heart can tell you the value you have truly gained in the end." Your perception determines the order of priorities in life. Strickland's wife comes from a noble background and loves glamour. For her, life had once been like a quiet, flowing river, until suddenly one day it rose into turbulence because her husband left without warning. He left behind a mess and shattered the peaceful reality that had lasted for years. They had been together for 17 years, and yet the husband who seemed the most familiar turned out to be the strangest of all. It was not because of adultery, but because of painting. He abandoned both wife and children, leaving her deeply humiliated and ashamed. She fell into despair, but she also woke up immediately. Because the support she relied on had collapsed, she could only stand up on her own. She quickly began learning to type, renting out rooms, selling furniture, and moving into a smaller house. When someone is gone, the earth keeps turning. Through hard work, her career gradually improved, and her children also grew up successfully. In the end, she was able to move to a new place, stop doing typing work, and return to upper-class society. Because in her perception, depending on others was never something honorable, only self-reliance, together with outward respectability, decency, and dignity, was the lifelong goal she pursued. Perceptions differ, and so the order of priorities in a person's life will also differ. And because of that, the direction of one's effort will also be different. As long as you truly feel joy in what you do and pursue, and your heart holds no inner noise, no contradiction, no struggle, then whatever choice you make cannot simply be divided into right or wrong, noble or lowly. Your heart alone gives the answer. Strickland placed painting above everything else. He did everything he could to make his dream real. His wife, on the other hand, put dignity first, so she worked diligently and earnestly in pursuit of what she wanted. You will surely receive what you sow. And it is no coincidence that two people who lived together for 17 years ended up going their separate ways. By then, the perceptions inside them had become completely different. A German philosopher once said this: "I respect every independent soul, though there are some I do not approve of. Still, I can try my best to understand them." Some people love the hazy moonlight. Others love the practical coin. Different perceptions may be hard to reconcile, but mutual respect is still better than anything else. You do not need to live cautiously inside someone else's perception, but you also do not need to point fingers at or criticize the way others live and think. Whatever priority a person chooses in life, there is no single one that must be fixed and correct. As long as you face your own soul, live as yourself, and give it your utmost effort, that is what the author truly wants to say to you. Your perception determines how you treat others. There is another character in the novel, Stroeve, a painter not yet 30, though already balding. His painting skills are still rather clumsy, but he has an excellent eye for beauty and is remarkably good at recognizing genius. He is the only one who can truly understand Strickland's paintings, and he helps him with all his might. When Strickland falls gravely ill, Stroeve brings him home and takes care of him, even though his wife strongly objects. Unexpectedly, bringing Strickland into his home proves no different from bringing a wolf into the house. Stroeve's wife hates Strickland, but perhaps from the very first glance she falls for him, and during the process of caring for him, their contact becomes unavoidable. She truly becomes infatuated with him and wants to live with him. Stroeve is overwhelmed with pain, but because he loves his wife, and also because of his admiration for Strickland's artistic talent, he ultimately chooses to withdraw, leaving the house to his wife and Strickland, hoping they can be happy together. But shockingly, it does not take long before Strickland abandons Blanche. People may think Strickland is truly a terrible man in love, but in the end, it is because Strickland and Blanche do not share the same perception. The two of them pursue completely different goals. Blanche longs for romantic love. When it comes to love, she does not care about the judgment of the world, but she does need the presence of the person she loves. In Strickland's heart, however, art comes first. He does not want to spend time on romance, and so in the end he chooses to abandon Blanche. When two people have different perceptions and pursue different goals in life, they cannot remain together forever in love. Returning to Stroeve, the man who loved his wife so deeply when he heard the news, he still hoped she would return to him. But all his waiting led only to a painful ending. She took poison and killed herself because of her love for another man. Yet even so, Stroeve's love for his wife did not diminish his admiration for art. He even invited Strickland to come live with him in his homeland of Holland, only to be refused. It can be said that Stroeve remained a good man throughout the story. He was like a farmer holding a venomous snake bitten by it. Then as soon as the scar healed, he forgot the pain and embraced the snake again. Stroeve seemed like a single body made up of contradictions created by God. He was short and fat, often mistaken for a pompous rich man, but in truth he was a painter with a sharp artistic eye. His paintings lacked truth, were flashy and distorted, yet he himself was an honest man who did not know how to speak in grand or boastful terms. He was kind, compassionate, and generous. He never imagined that he would meet Strickland, a man who saw no one but himself and was cold and faithless. He loved his wife more than himself, even when all he received in return was betrayal. He was mocked by his colleagues, yet when they needed to borrow money, he still helped them. Stroeve lived like that, always giving and giving without asking for repayment. As the novel says, Stroeve was a noble and selfless man, and even a deeply painful ending could not conceal the greatness within his nature. Some people say Stroeve is pitiful and foolish, while others are able to understand his nobility. Perceptions differ, and so each person's way of dealing with others will also differ. Some people happily help others without expecting repayment, while others are selfish, always gathering things for themselves, seeing no one but their own interests. But no matter what, no matter how harsh life may be, there will always be a place that belongs to you, a place where you can entrust your clear conscience and your love for all things. The nature of your perception determines how you will treat others. Whatever happens, do what your conscience tells you, live wholeheartedly, and give love. As this book says, do what you want, live in the circumstances you prefer, in peace and quiet, without struggle. A free life according to your own understanding. That is a life guided and illuminated by perception and spirit. Success or failure, each person gives these words their own meaning. Perceptions differ, and the life choices people make will differ too. Some pursue fame and gain. Some long for peace, leisure, and freedom. The way we choose to live this life depends entirely on each person's perception. So then, how should we live now if we want to avoid regret? Adler once said, "You do not live to satisfy the expectations of others, and others do not live to satisfy yours. Listen to your own heart and choose the way of living you truly like." Is that not the greatest success in life? A person's life is not just a narrow road. How could it be rigidly cut apart by words like good and bad, right and wrong? Each person has their own way of living. Others have no right to interfere, and there is no hierarchy between ways of life, as long as you truly like it. Van Gogh once said, "There is a fire inside everyone, and passers-by see only the smoke. You live for the fire in your heart, not for the smoke in other people's eyes." Whether you choose to look up at a sky full of stars or walk firmly upon the earth, live in the way you want. As long as your heart feels no contradiction and no struggle, that is enough. And those who keep trying to pursue their dreams are always beautiful. I wish that you and I, all of us, will have a wonderful life, living as we wish and giving ourselves fully to this one life. Thank you for listening. If you found this video helpful, please share it with those who need it. Support XYZ Library with a like, a follow, and by turning on the notification bell so you can catch my newest videos. Once again, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.